And that is the absolute last time I let Tyler in the Dominican go down the beach by himself and not know where he's going to try to get back to the room at 1 a.m.
I thought that boy was going to float away in the ocean.
That's why he's not here today. He's somewhere out there in Dominican trying to swim back right now. I don't know what happened. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it's good to see you guys again. You have the true hosts of the ZZP Power Hour. The other small guy decided that he was, gonna try to come back, as my story said, or be sick today. So you got today Ryan D at ZZP,
Tim at ZZP,
Boosted Beek at ZZP,
T-Spain,
Bossy, baby.
We got that Bossy here, guys. This episode 151. And we are just kind of hanging out today. The boys are back in town. We're back from vacation. We all kind of took a little vacay last week. Try to recoup ourselves, get ready for the year. Thank you guys for your patience as far as getting us back on, for tunes and customer service and callbacks and all that. We've been doing our best, and we really appreciate your patience. It's still a week, and I'm still stressed about it. We haven't fully caught up, but we're working at it.
I haven't had too many people be too angry.
Oh,
I've had two
We've had
people,
a few.
but...
We've had a few.
Couple.
You haven't answered me in a day or two.
I think people are just spoiled. Like, they don't realize that, like, you don't get faster response time than ZZP.
Oh my goodness, no.
Like, I'm telling you, MFers, like, seriously.
Tim is going off today.
So we're
to your
people
point, do not get it.
Yeah.
If I email, like, I've had a lot of European vehicles, and like one of the places I've gone is Eurocharge. I will email them and not get a response back ever.
Yeah.
Like, it just goes into the nether. Like, we respond to people like same day. I respond to people within the hour. Like, it's...
Tim, T-Spain we were dealing with an LS shop that had a 3800 in there. For whatever reason, they're like, I don't know what to do. And T-Spain gave him a heads up. Hey, it might be a little bit before we get back to you. And he's like, 2 weeks? And T-Spain's like 2 days, bro.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I swear some of our customers think that we're like an elevator where you just tap the button faster and faster by sending more emails. We're going to get to you sooner.
No, the opposite. My opposite.
Yeah, because, all that does is usually put you back up at the top.
So, we said it before, and I actually had to give the email today. Had a guy that had an issue, but then he said, no response. You're really not going to respond? No response? Like, hey, man, just put yourself back. I would have responded to you sooner, but I wasn't able to.
Yeah, our email will take, every time you email, it groups the emails up. And, like, it's kind of a pain. Like, I like the idea behind it, but it doesn't really work that great because... you lose emails.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just miss, like, an older email because it groups them up and I don't notice that there's 4 emails there.
One other thing we run into a lot, too, is maybe you reach out to us with, like, a problem. Like, you got a problem. And it's Thursday afternoon. Well, maybe Ryan in customer service needs to check with 4 other people within the company on how we need to address this, how we want to help you, what we need to implement with our, other parts going out. And so it might take the rest of the day Thursday and then into Friday before we formulate a proper response to you on how we want to tackle the situation. So if you're not getting a reply, it doesn't mean that we're just not going to reply. It's probably because we're working on it or, in one way or another.
ZZPerformance is not ignoring customers. We never have. We never will. So we appreciate your guys' patience overall. I messaged Boost Labs about something. I sent them an email, and I waited 4.5 weeks, and then I got a very short response, which is fine. But that's how every company I've emailed in the past. I usually it takes weeks upon weeks for replies.
I sent out a steering wheel to a steering wheel company to have it rewrapped in October.
Yeah. I
email them once a month, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, oh, they give me some kind of update, but, like, it's freaking February.
Yeah.
Like, am I getting my Sonic steering wheel back, or am I just stuck with this, like, base model Sonic steering wheel
Here
forever?
We go. Boys, I know we have all had it, too.
That has been a while.
It's been a long time. Like... Boys, it's the middle of winter. Today it's really nice today. Guys, I drove snow car in today for some, just a little bit of R&R, make sure everything's good. Like, it's
Sun's
52
out.
degrees today.
Feels good.
It's. I haven't driven the Snowball in February since the first year I owned it.
I know. It's a crazy year for sure as far as cars and weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here for it though. If Mother Nature wants to hold out like this and give us a killer head start on the season, let's do it.
If it does it, that would be a thing. But let's talk about it, boys. So what do we got going on? We're gonna be off the cuff today, so we're gonna be answering some questions in the chat, just talking about stuff, seeing what's going on at ZZP, just kind of give you guys a kind of just a look-see into what we're doing here and everything like that. Like Tim, give us some insight into just whatever's on your brain right now. What you got over here?
I guess I got a couple questions in there.
If you want to go there,
knock out. Would we be able to remote tune update without having your whole tune reflashed? It's kind of up to the tuner. I will do that for people, so it depends on the vehicle. Like, basically, you would pull your tune off. You first, let's get this in the right order. First, you make the scan. So you've been driving the car for months, years, whatever. You do a nice scan, and then you save that scan, and then you pull the file off the car, which I shouldn't use that term. I should say you make a copy of the file off the ECM. And then you send that to us, and then I can use the scan with all your saved fuel trims and everything, and then I can make whatever tweaks are necessary for whatever new mods, or if you just want it touched up. So yes, we can do that, but it's kind of up to the tuner. I can't speak for Bo or Matt or
Tyler. It doesn't work well for me.
Yes.
I don't know if I've ever touched up somebody else's tune. I think, without trying to brag, our 3800 PCM tune is the best out there. And if you're not on it, there's no reason not to be. Yeah. So if you don't start with our 1.0 tune, then I think you're doing it wrong anyway.
So
I can't argue that.
If I can jump in too, there does, from a customer service side, there does tend to be a little bit of muddy water when we do that as well, because we'll do what we know is right in the tune, and then you have and then you'll go out and tell your friends, I'm tuned by, in this case, Sebastian's ZZPerformance. By the way, I didn't know he retired. I assume retired from tuning. I don't know if he's still selling parts, so that's interesting. But if you say, yeah, I'm tuned by Dave, from P-Works, then all of a sudden the time we put, to say you have a ZZP tune is not there. And then if there's an issue, also the same thing happens. Like, ever since this, or the two things mesh incorrectly. Like, it's better to go with, when you have, and I learned this early from my mentor when I was getting into cars, he said, too many hands in a cookie jar leads to no one getting a cookie. Like, if you have too many different tuners touching and looking at the tune, like some of our 300 customers, not calling him out, love you, guy. Too many different tuners doing too many different things. It's worse than just sticking with one tuner doing the exact one thing you need to do. And we're the best. This is why we do this. We are the best in all of our markets, and we do the best tunes for them. So it's one of those things.
I saw Mr. Sperry in there talking about my tuning. Thank you for the little shout out there.
There we go.
And then Brandon, I love that GS so far. I picked up a 14 Regal. We needed a stock LTG car for a bunch of testing, and there was a couple LTG front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive parts that we didn't offer yet. So I was like, let's just, it's a win-win, right? I could use a nicer daily driver. My Sonic turned into too much of a race car, so I didn't want a winter beater anymore.
Working here every day. That's how that happened.
Pretty much.
Yeah, my Sonic got too nice, got too fast, too modified, and I'm like, I'll get something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna develop a colder intake for the LTG Regal and hopefully Malibu. I'm hoping that the engine bays will be similar to where maybe we can make it fit both. We'll see. And then an intercooler kit for the Regal as well, because we have an intercooler kit for the LHU Regal, but not the LTG Regal. So develop a couple of those parts, and then I get a nice, comfortable car to drive every day. And then we're still working on our LTG engine testing, so I have a stock LTG engine car to play with. Yeah.
So I want to say, John Simon, anything coming from the 1.8 Ecotech. So we've had this question a lot, guys, and this can cover a lot of different things. This covers the 1.8s. This covers the LFX customers that are asking. This covers quite a few things. Unfortunately, while we would love to make mods for every car that we possibly comes to our doorstep, we cannot do that, because it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of employee time, and a lot of money to develop anything for a market. That being said, we also need to have the owners actually purchase stuff. With the 1.8s, we tried with you guys. We put out a turbo kit and said, hey, if you guys will go in with us for a group buy, 4 or 5 of you, we'll make a turbo kit. When it came to actually pay up, no one did. So that got dropped. We had headers in the downpipe for the car. We had to discontinue because no one was buying them. Yeah. So unfortunately, 1.8 guys, nothing in the pipeline. But who knows in the future? Anything can happen in the future.
Honestly, right now, most of our R&D is just we really don't have enough R&D guys, and that is probably I guess I'm going to say it like the hardest position to hire for.
Oh, 100%.
Like, yeah, I can hire welders. Yeah, like we can find welders, but an actual fab guy that's like good and can make something like producible affordably. Yeah, that's tough.
Well, it's the problem solvers too.
Yes.
Yeah, we need. I mean, you want to. Yeah, there's a lot of fabrication involved, but it's just a lot of problem solving. A lot of just figuring out things that don't work or why they don't work or how we can make them better, and just. I think in the R&D world around here, you might work 4 days on a project and maybe be further behind where you were Monday.
Yeah, very true.
But, in the grand scheme of things, it is closer to our goal in some way, in form or fashion. It's a group effort usually, bringing everybody together and just working through problems and overcoming obstacles of how these cars make power or why we got so much damn back pressure on a 1.4 or why LTGs just love to knock and
it's also too there is when we bring new people here. I think Tim, you can attest as being here the longest. It's kind of a culture shock to people who have been in other automotive industries a lot of the time because we do things a very different way than everybody. And that's why we are as successful as we are because we do things, and it's a culture shock for a lot of people because they have an idea of I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, and we're like, no, keep going with it. Why? And then actually make a product that makes sense, it's easy to work, and it works, responsibly.
Unfortunately, we're stuck in working on platforms that people aren't willing to spend honest money for parts.
Yes,
let's be real, Buy an Audi, buy a BMW, buy a Mercedes. If you want a catback for that, that's $2,000, $3,000
at minimum.
Our customers aren't going to spend that money.
Yeah.
So we have to find a happy medium of making something affordable that people will buy.
Correct.
And that's it's tough, but it's unique.
Yeah.
Because there's not very many other companies out there that sell parts for the prices that we sell parts for.
Yeah. So, and that's what we are trying to pass the savings on to you guys through all these things because, we know that, it's hard out here right now. Groceries are expensive, living is expensive, and we want you guys to enjoy the sport that we have, as much as possible. But fortunately, we have to run a business too. We have to make sure that we have people here that want to get paid and want to provide for their own families and everything too. So there's definitely a balance.
Lots of Gen 2 Cruise big turbo stuff coming, boys. Real close. Mm-hmm. I'd say closer than anything we're working on. So,
Preston,
Gen 2 loves big turbos.
Yeah, we've got a Z04 in the works. Basically, I shouldn't call it that because I don't know if that's what we're going to call it, but we've got a larger turbo in the works for the Gen 2 Cruise, and then we have a larger one that we ordered a couple in to be the next larger turbo. So the Gen 2 Cruise is almost like pulling ahead of the Gen 1 Cruise in Sonic right now. We only have a V3 in a Z04 for the Gen 1, but we already need the next step. And the Gen 2 is kind of going to come out ahead of the Gen 1. So, be patient with us, but we're working on a larger turbo for the Gen 1s as well.
Oh, so I like this thing. This is just something because since we're tanging off on random things, I'm going to grab Hagen's. He said the oddball car builds that shouldn't be built are always better than the same builds over and over again, like BMW 335s. To an extent, I do agree. Yes, I agree. To an extent, I disagree. There is something very cool about doing something that's oddball. However, with oddball cars come oddball problems. With, for instance, in the 3800 world, instead of a guy was like, hey, I have two cars I'm looking at, which one should I go with? He said, I'm looking at an Olds 88 or I'm looking at a Grand Prix. I told the customer in an email, I said, hey man, the Grand Prix 100%. The parts you get are going to be easier. You can make it your own, much, much more simple. And while the Oldsmobile may be a little more unique, you're going to run into unique problems that are in the end, are they worth it like that?
Not every part is going to fit that we sell for
Correct.
it because it's an 88 and not a Grand Prix. Like,
exactly.
None of us in ZZP have owned like an old ZLS or LSS.
Yeah.
I'm sure like Bo and I would love to have an LSS, but because they're really cool, unique cars. But yeah, like, you know, if we sold parts for that car, we would sell ones of them.
I think the LSS was 97 and 98 only.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The build number had to be super low on those.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one in a long time that was worth buying.
But yeah, so
very neat car.
So I like unique cars when they're done right, but at the same time,
I mean, the same goes for when people start doing their custom engine swaps.
yeah,
You know, I'm taking this engine and this transmission out of these two different cars, putting it in this other car, and then they come ask us why something's not fitting right or something's not running right. It's like, well, you're running something that wasn't supposed to be there, and then you're mix matching the computers and the sensors and the harnesses. We can't help you.
yeah,
That's
like,
that's for you to figure out.
yeah. Unfortunately, like Tyler's just said here, like. You gotta get when you do custom cars, you kind of deal with custom problems a little bit. Like there is something nice about a car that just works and works well, like a Grand Prix or a BMW or whatever the kind of popular model car. Like I kind of look at there is a reason why they're popular to an extent. Like, but doing something different, if you can do it,
I
chef's
think
kiss off to you.
Buick and Scat Pack Kyle just asked a super good question, wondering about getting into a Cruise, Gen 1 or Gen 2. The Gen 2 by far has the build quality over the Gen 1, and from a performance aspect, we are making Gen 1 power numbers with
Minimal parts.
simple mods on a Gen 2. So the Gen 2 is already showing to be more power, have much greater power potential.
be out of the world.
With less mods, the fuel system seems extremely capable. The transmission's wonderful. It spools larger turbos way better than a Gen 1. The Gen 2 is definitely the way to go if you're looking at
the
getting
Gen
into
2 gets
Cruise.
better gas mileage.
And if you're looking at the website right now and you're like, man, they don't got much for the Gen 2 Cruise, that's
It's
going to
coming.
change a ton.
It's
in the
coming,
next year.
boys.
So
Like seriously,
This is the year of the Gen 2.
oh yeah, that's, Tim.
you're not wrong.
Tim said that at the end of last year. This year's gonna be a Gen 2 year. Like it's a lot.
If you could get a nice Gen 2 hatch, you'd be happy.
The Gen 1, I would choose a Gen 2 Cruise over a Gen 1 Cruise.
Heck yeah.
In almost
Now-
every aspect, there's not one where the Gen 1's better.
No. Now, when you move to the Sonic, a Gen 1 Sonic still is a cool car, and it's arguable to the Gen 2 Cruise. The Gen 2 Cruise is more of like a nicer, refined, more luxury car, to where the Gen 1 Sonic, like an RS, is still sportier, zippier. So you kind of have to decide, do you want more of a nicer luxury car? Get the Gen 2 Cruise. If you want a more zippy, sportier car, probably a Gen 1 Sonic hatchback. Yeah.
Well, honestly, what's cool about the Sonics I actually like is they're roughly the same body, but just facelifted. You know, it's roughly everything the same.
Yeah.
Which is, and they never change throughout any year of the Sonic, which I think is cool, and I think it's a great hot hatch, and it's just a looks preference at that point, to be perfectly honest.
But yeah, for right now, like I'm still like the Gen 1 and Gen 2 performance is very, very similar. Yeah. Like Bo said, I mean, we are approaching Gen 1 horsepower numbers with potentially less mods.
Way less mods.
We haven't done valve springs yet. We haven't done cams yet. And we are approaching those wheel horsepower numbers.
One of the really cool things about that Gen 2 as well is you can run full E85 with a flex fuel kit with no mods on that Gen 2.
Yeah.
And for a Gen 1, you're going to need at least fuel injectors and maybe even your FSCM unlocked with HP tuners. So it's just all around that. Gen 2's loving what we're doing to it, and we got a lot of parts coming in there. I would, even a simpler point to it, I think the parts we're designing now for the Gen 2 are better than our Gen 1 stuff that was designed a few years ago. I mean,
that's just what happens. Everybody gets better.
Yeah, the quality
better.
parts are better. The overall build quality is better. The performance is better. If if you're thinking Gen 1 or Gen 2, Gen 2 is a no-brainer besides maybe the initial price point.
Yeah, I think overall, fit and finish, Gen 2 all day. Guys, I want to shout out to Ross Martin. If you guys see him in our chat, he's, as Mike just said, he's one of our talented fabricators. This guy says engine swaps are a weekend thing. This guy just put a 2J with a crazy intake manifold and a big old turbo in his BMW, like 2000s thing, and he's doing some crazy stuff. If you guys follow him on Instagram, it's a cool build.
He's been working on it for like 6 months, so I don't know what the statement about engine swaps are. A weekend.
He had it in there in the weekend. He technically had the engine in the car in the weekend. The engine was sitting in the bay in the weekend. He
talks big now until he's still not at Streetcar Takeover.
No. Oh my God, leave Ross alone.
I think that's the finish point.
Manifolds take this time.
Listen, I can't wait. Amazing. He told me I could drive. I'm not driving. I just want to ride in it.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to hear all the noises.
Well, the nice thing is it's a 4-door, so he can just friggin'.
Oh yeah, we're all going. Bob 5 deep.
We're all going. There it is. Listen, Ross, don't let Tim get on you. He's trying right now. So
hey, Slinky, don't. If you got a Gen 1 Sonic, like, keep it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Gen 2 Cruise is that much better. Like, I mean, I still don't have a Gen 2 Cruise. I've got a Gen 1 Sonic, and I love that stupid car. Love it.
Yeah, the Sonic is perfectly fine, man. Don't worry about Gen 1 with Sonic, or even your Gen 2 Sonic. It's fine. Austin Forster says, should I go air to air stuff my Z57 entry-level kit? So, I kind of like this question, but I would vote no. The whole point of the entry-level kit is to use your factory air to water and be affordable. Doing air to air is something you can do, but it requires a lot of money. And at that point, you should have just got the complete turbo kit.
I am so with Ryan on this one. If you're talking about a Z57 and an LSJ, just go with our real turbo kit. Like, do the whole thing.
The full swap.
Yep. Yeah, the full thing. Like, there is no cheap part in that kit.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you piece
the
together...
entry level kit is an entry level kit.
Yeah.
Stop expecting 400 plus wheel horsepower out of an entry level kit.
Yeah.
Like, even though it can do it, like, why do it that way when you can just put the real turbo kit on and make 500 plus?
If you have it already, keep working with it. Make sure you have your stealth heat exchanger, your option B, all your cooling mods. They work well with E85. You can make around 4, but that's where that stock LSJ manifold is going to start becoming a little restrictive. But now trying to do air to air and all that stuff, you can spend your money. You can cams instead and make more power. Instead.
I think if honestly you're sitting on a Z57 entry level kit and you're looking to invest some money in the car, put an F40 in it.
Yes, yes. F40 the world and DI the world, but F40 the world.
One thing I do like about the Gen 2 Cruise is
I'm speaking from an entry level kit that loved to kill F35s. That's mainly why I say that.
Yeah, that's true.
One thing I love about the Gen 2 Cruise is that you can make, let's say, like 230 wheel with an intercooler, larger turbo, colder intake and exhaust, and flex fuel. And it's on the stock fuel system, like no upgrades. So the car drives perfect. There's no cams making weird, quirky things here or there. Like, there's no intake manifold swaps making weird stuff. Like, the car has minimal mods, so you're still getting well over 30 miles a gallon on the highway, but making over 100 wheel horsepower from stock.
Yeah, which is amazing.
That's amazing. My Sonic gets 22 miles a gallon right now. Like, 22 miles per gallon to make 330 wheel on a Gen 1 Sonic. Like, yes, it has 200 treadwear tires. Yes, it's on E85. Like, there's a lot of things kind of working against, like, still getting great gas mileage. But, that Gen 2 is pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, especially for keeping that the VVT on it. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's
made this Gen 2 Cruise episode.
Ah,
yeah.
That's
hey,
Craig.
Craig. Hey,
At
Craig.
least it's not a Z04 episode.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You said it. Craig, he says, if I have every bolt on my 3.8, what's my next step? Cam or intercooler? We're all going to say at the same time, intercooler.
Yes.
1,000,000% intercooler. Every car on the planet every boosted car on the planet has an intercooler. Guess what car that's boosted doesn't? 3800. You can run more boost, be more reliable, get cooler IATs. There is no downside about
Not to
running
mention
it.
a much easier install.
Much easier install. So, boys, girls, intercool your 3800s. On that note, I want to talk to you guys about something, and I think this will really get Tyler to show. What I've seen a lot lately is people complaining about ZZP prices.
Yes.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
They're stupid.
Have you guys ever looked at any other market ever on the absolute planet? Tim, we have a great example of this.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, a few years ago, Tim bought a Mercedes E550. You know, not the AMG, just E55 550, right? I don't remember the name, whatever name it was.
Some numbers and letters.
He
Some
put you
numbers
up
and
here,
levels.
and then he put you down here.
but it was purposeful buy. It was a good.
I had a E63, an SL63, and then
all the AMG cars, yeah.
And then I needed like a daily driver, a comfortable daily driver. So I found this E550, which is a twin turbo V8 all-wheel drive. And
fast car out of the box, quick.
And go ahead and put me on blast now.
No.
Because I know what your question is.
Yes. So guys,
how much was my tune?
Yes. So I've had people lately complain that our 3800 1.0 PCM was too expensive,
which is $150.
$150 to $250. Tim, how much was the retail price?
Okay, all right.
Yeah. How much was the retail price on the tune for your E550?
Retail price was $2,500.
Guys, boys.
Ryan was buddies with Jake at Eurocharge.
Yeah, I know the owner of Eurocharge.
He introduced me, and he gave him enough of the story to where it's like, oh, Jake, Jake's like, oh, you're kind of like me, but another place kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I get the cash discount at Eurocharge, which made my tune way less money.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the regular pricing for a tune is $800 bare minimum for a cheap mod car, upwards of $1,500 to $2,500.
I think that's your big concern. So guys, Tyler has a Subaru. He's getting into some of our platform vehicles, but he had it before he came here. So Tyler, how much is because you do Cobb tuning a lot? How much is parts and tuning and comparable to that?
Basically, take any of ZZP parts, add an extra $500. That's your start. I'm talking $700 for an intake. Downpipe by itself, just the downpipe, I think ran me close to $9. Catback was another $1,300 on top of that.
Yeah,
almost food grade stainless. My tune every single time I go to get retuned. $700
every time.
Not a $60 PCM update.
Nope. Not a $6 PCM update that people
that we send you 4 revisions for.
Yeah, they expect you to have this I did 5 billion things.
And then if you get nice guys like Tim, he's like, don't even worry about the update, bro.
Exactly. And then and to give you guys an idea, I pay that price every time. The tuner, the company that I use, they're a big name. I'm not going to call them out or anything. They've used my car for their advertising photos. And I still pay full price.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So guys, $700 every time you want to get the car tuned. Every time.
Yeah. And this is a common kind of an entry-level car.
Yeah.
As far as most people
what's it? How much is because they have a kit to mount the top mount intercooler to the front. How much does that kit cost? So
to go from the factory intercooler, which is sitting on top, go to the front mount, a reputable name brand minimum, you're looking $1,400 to $1,600.
Our LHU and LNF full and our ATS, it was a
sub 5.
Our ATS it went is $499.
It's $449.
$449. Jesus. Our full LNF intercooler is $780. Our LHU one is $800.
And my intercooler is not any bigger than anything we sell here.
Yeah.
It's basically the same size. It's just different piping. And I still have to go get retuned in order to even use it.
So, so you got to spend $1,800, then get a $700. This is a $2,500 intercooler.
I have been sitting on my intercooler for 1.5 years because I've been waiting to get retuned.
Exactly. See?
Wow.
Boys.
Did you mention it's a Subaru?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So, guys, intake manifolds. A bare minimum good intake manifold for a Supra, let's say, is $2,500. $2,500. Intakes, turbo kits, all this stuff. A turbo kit for a Mazda, CX-3 or whatever to call it is $7,000. And it absolutely blows my mind when I have anyone complain about anything ZZP prices.
Brian and I were just baffled by, because we're around this a lot, but every once in a while I'll be scrolling through the website. I'm like, wow, is that really only? And it was our 257 full swap kit for an LNF. I was quoting out a customer. He's like, hey man, I want to get the full swap kit. I'm like, that sounds like a great idea.
Yep.
He didn't have anything yet. He was kind of just jumping there. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Instead of doing like all the other bolt-ons that he might replace later, he was just like, let's do it. And what's the price on it?
It's
$339 or $33.99.
less than that.
$3,300 for your
$3,300 if you don't have any intercooling parts already. Like
This is like intake, turbo, intercooler, like everything you were going to need.
downpipe, all the lines, everything.
Exhaust manifold, yeah.
exhaust manifold, turbo itself.
And what's the rough increase that you're going to get from going from stock to this?
I mean, the kit,
Astronomical.
that kit with cams makes 500 wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to double the horsepower for $3,000 or less. Like if you have the intercooling parts already, it's only like $2,300.
So you just buy a car, you start with that, get the car tuned. You're already making more power than my Subaru was, and I've spent more money than you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Like it is insane that I just see people complaining about the prices. I'm like, you guys haven't been in the real world, in the mod game world yet.
Yeah.
Like Tim was gonna pay over $2,000 for a tune.
Yeah.
$2,000 for a tune. And Tyler here has to pay $70 for each tune. We charge $60 for time and effort and the knowledge of tuning. Because guys, this is skill. Like tuning is skilled labor. Like it is. You can't just take your car tuning anywhere else to just like get it. Like, oh, here's a random little thing you can get. No, like
there's a reason customers go, hey, I have this tune from XYZ. My car is effing up. Can you guys fix it for me?
Yeah.
Sure, $150, and we're gonna fix your car.
Fix your car
That's
to make it drive better
That's
than
it.
it's ever driven before.
Yep.
So
Good times.
that was a little side tangent. So you guys, the next time I hear anybody you email me saying, "Man, this is too expensive," I don't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about it. Get your butt up, save your pennies, get the good ZZP.
Put your
stuff.
big boy pants on.
Put
Let's
your
go
big
fast.
boy
But
pants on.
this is also the same reason that anytime you guys email us like, oh, hey, I've got XY car. I want to make 400 horse. What's my build? First question we ask, what's your budget?
What's your budget?
We're going to get you the best list of parts that you can put on your car for the price point that you want.
If you ever email me and say you have no budget, I will call you out literally in email for being a liar.
Everyone's got a budget.
Everyone has a budget. If you didn't have a budget, we'd be driving Ferrari F40s or whatever the heck right now.
Yep.
We all got you. When I hear saying, "Oh, money's no object," like I'm gonna be, "Oh my god, this guy has no money up." No, be honest with me.
I've got a '98 Grand Prix GT, and I want to make 600 wheel horsepower, and I've got no budget.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
All right, guy. All right, guy.
I got 2.4 Cobalt.
Yeah.
What can I do?
What can I do? 2204 base model. Let's get it, boys.
Slinky. Tough call.
It's a good question.
The
Good question.
Gen 1 has more mods at this time. Also, the next question would be, are you an auto or a manual? Because the manuals still make significantly more power. They have like half the parasitic loss that an auto car has. So like a Gen 1 manual tranny Sonic is going to murder, I don't give a crap, like a Gen 1 or a Gen 2 like auto cruise.
Yeah.
It's going to mop the floor with it. So, if you're an auto Gen 1, like I think the man, I don't even know. Like, let's say you want to build an all-out car. Would you go Gen 1 or Gen 2?
Gen 2 for the auto.
Well, it depends on what you want to do.
Yeah,
with that.
as of right now, if you're going to race it at all, go Gen 1 just because it's figured out. There's suspension components, there's brake components,
That's
everything's
the
there,
best way to
ready for you
break
to
it
go.
down.
If you're looking to
Yeah.
invest in a car and have something that you're going to mod for years to come and enjoy for years to come and drive to work every day, get the Gen 2.
Yeah.
I
If
agree
you're
with
looking
that.
for a Tinker toy that you want a full toy box of parts for, get the Gen 1.
Yep.
Yeah, because like between Tyler and I, like we nearly have the Gen 1 Sonic figured out. If you want to build an autocross road course machine,
Yeah.
like you just reach out to me and be like, I want to autocross road course this thing, and I just have a list of parts.
Yep.
And like that list of parts isn't even off the shelf parts. Like, you want different spring rates for a race car than you would a street car. So yeah, if you want a car that we already figured out, then stick with your Gen 1.
Yeah.
But if you want a car that like you're willing to mod over time and wait for us to do stuff, because I don't know of anybody that's planning on like road coursing either of our Gen 2 cruises.
Wow.
Yeah, probably not.
So I don't foresee us having a killer suspension package for that car for a couple years.
We do have some coilovers on Steve's car.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
But,
do have
like-
Gen 2 coilovers right now. Please buy them.
But like
We've
Like,
definitely tailored them for
you-
street use.
you, me, Tyler, the main road coursers here, and Noah, we're a Gen 2 cruise is not in our near future. So like we're not gonna
figure out the sway
Yeah,
bars
sway
and,
bars,
yeah.
and the
Like,
spring
that's-
rates and everything.
That stuff is gonna take some time. It's gonna take some time,
The
probably a couple years.
Gen
to
2
really iron
coilovers
out.
right now are just fit for
Good street car.
good street car,
Yeah.
hauling your kids and stuff. And
Few car. I want to
Getting
knock out a few.
low.
Yeah, Super Chris. I see Derrick asking, is there a big difference from 91 and 93 to an octane and LNF? I'm gonna answer that one. Yes, there is actually. So it's a good, decent difference percentage wise. Matt Meekos in the chat, he can probably chime in with a percentage gain, maybe 3 to 5%.
That's a
Maybe.
complex question, though.
Yes, it is kind of a complex one.
Here's the thing:
it'd be
it's-
silly to run 91 if 93 is available. You always
Correct.
want to run the highest.
Yeah.
Also,
It's
on,
huge.
on top of that too, you always got to go to your common denominator. If you have a 93 tune, you don't want to put 91 in it. But if you have a 91 tune, you can't put 93 in the car and be safe. You just run there.
You
too.
won't instantly gain any sort of power if you're tuned for 91 and you put 93 in. You're
Yeah,
not going to gain anything. It's just better for the engine.
Yeah, better knock resistance. So,
Okay,
but
now
Kim, go ahead.
Here's where I'm going to mess it all up: is that it really is all about the fuel quality.
Correct.
I have
Yes,
customers with 91 octane cars that outperform some customers with 93.
Yes.
But like, here's the thing: is you may not have control over this. Like,
You most
what
likely don't.
what I tell people is, I was like, okay, your car has a bunch of knock. Like, I've tuned your car to the max level for your fuel quality and mod list, and then I'm like, look at KR in the scan, and then try different stations. And
Yeah.
just see if like one station is just way better than the rest, because the fuel suppliers don't supply all gas stations.
No, they don't.
Every station has a additive blend that they like to run. So you have multiple places that manufacture gasoline, and then each station has their own blends, and then like that's a lot of mess.
Yeah.
So-
A lot of variants.
Uses their own amount of detergent.
Yes,
Yeah.
detergents and all that stuff, like they're all different. So you just got to watch your scan. Get a scan gauge if you don't have HP tuners and you don't want to stare at your laptop.
I'm gonna drop a little rant on this.
Here we go.
My girlfriend, my lovely girlfriend Sarah, she's forced to run premium fuel in all of her cars. But
Sorry, Sarah.
she shops
You know
a
you're
ton
doing
at D&W because it's right down the road from her
She
work.
loves driving those sports cars.
She
though.
does. She shops at D&W a ton because it's right down the road from her work. Well, she gets 5 cents a gallon off at D&W, so she is always filling up at D&W. And I'm like, oh, babe, I wish you wouldn't do that. There's nobody at D&W that's getting 93. That 93's been in that barrel for 5 years.
Oh, baby.
Yep.
Oh,
And,
baby. That stuff's
I'm
just
like,
varnished by
please
now,
go-
boys.
Please go up the road to that Meyer right off the highway. I guarantee you it's better fuel. Actually, they're top tier, I think. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're close there.
So it's yeah.
Yeah,
I guess that's all I got. Is
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel. I mean, just
Like-
go get the best possible fuel you
Get
get.
the
Don't
best
save
fuel
the
you can
5
get.
cents. Don't go there because it's closer. If you have a feeling that it's better fuel, go there and get that
I
good
mean,
fuel.
Hell yeah,
Same
dude.
thing. I
There
saw
is a difference.
I saw a post from a local guy that was just one of those like, hey, remember, check your E85. He ran a test on
Oh,
a local,
God,
local E85 pump. It's supposed to be E85. It came out to 10%
There is
ethanol.
no E85 around
That is
anywhere
so
that's
bad.
the
Yeah.
same as any other one. You go to 4 different E85 stations, you get all different percentages, guaranteed.
I've struggled
Guaranteed.
with this thing since the dyno day. When I brought my Grand Prix here in 2019 or 2018, I live 2 miles away from Michigan's largest ethanol plant. And if you go out to the ethanol plant, they got a single pump out there with the widest variety of E85 you could ever ask for. And I always go out there and I fill up with E85. Well, since the dyno day that day, Tim's like, dude, this car has shit fuel in it. And I'm like, it can't be. I got it from the ethanol plant. And then since I've been here, Every time I fill up at that ethanol plant, it's terrible. I'm like, I don't understand. You're making it right there. I can see you making it. But I'm wondering if they're like, they have bad batches that they just throw
That's what
there.
they put in the paint.
We can't sell this elsewhere.
Yes, dude. I think that's what it is. So, like, you gotta feel that stuff out. Know your car, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though it's convenient, even though it's 10 cents cheaper, even though it should be the best, I don't go there. You know, I go up the road or get it here in Grand Rapids or get it at Meyer or something. Because
low key, Meyer fuel is
pretty dang good.
Consistent. Like I go to a bunch of them, and usually I have.
If you're in Michigan, Meyer isn't gonna treat you bad from my experience.
Correct. Same.
Meyer, Shell. That's why I try to stick
Shell's
with.
good.
Shell's good.
I'm calling out. Don't go to Costco.
Yeah,
don't do it.
Costco's fuel is bad.
My
we have a joke around here about
Costco. That's kind of where I was going with the D&W thing.
Yeah,
So,
the local Sunoco in my town just got brand new tanks and brand new pumps, and I've been living at the
looking at it.
Sunoco, you know? But
hey guys, I want to look at XT5. Like, you know, Ryan D is very opinionated, and we love it. XT5 says, I think Gen 1 cruise appearance mods look better than Gen 2. Nothing you can do to a Gen 1 makes it look better than a stock Gen 2.
I'm with you there.
I hate, sorry Cruise guys, the Gen 1 Cruise is not a good looking car.
some reason
I said it.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I think the difference there is the Gen 1's been out longer, so you have a couple options for some of the eBay lips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that
None of it looks good. Me and Mike on Tim, I know you don't. Tim don't like taking sides. Look at Tim's face right now. Mike, clip this reel. Look at Tim's face. He don't want to say it. I'm here to say it. Gen 1 guys, I'm sorry. I know I drive a Cobalt.
I support all ZZP.
That's all right. Tim didn't like Regals until I came along.
That's right.
That's true.
Guys, there's been 1 or 2 Gen 1s I've seen, but 99% of them Gen 1s, the headlights don't have a good shape, the cars don't have a good shape, the tail ends look bad.
I do,
the Gen 2.
The Gen 1 Cruise is not my favorite body style, but I don't think it's terrible. It bugs me when I see a lot of the aftermarket parts for it because the body lines have potential.
They do have potential. I will give you that.
But every freaking headlight I see is hideous.
Hideous.
Yes. Every part I see is hideous. It's like, will you make a nice lip?
It's like the
will you
headlights
make
that
a
used to be in
nice
Zoom's
headlight?
Grand Prix.
Yeah. Now, I will say,
please, somebody make nice aftermarket appearance mods for that.
There is one good
There
set
is
of
one or two
out there
for
the
but
Gen 1.
nobody buys them because they're the pricey ones.
Yeah, exactly. There's 1 or 2 good headlight options for the Cruise that make them look modern and pretty good. But then no one else does the extra stuff to make the whole package look good. And I want to fight Cruise owners. Guys, make your car look good.
Slinky, do Gen 2 Cruises not have a manual? Yes, they do. But good luck finding one.
Yeah, they're hard to find.
Good luck finding one.
Randomly
they're
searched
just not
for
out
them.
there.
Yeah.
No.
Craig Werner, I'll tell you in a week. I have some H&R lowering springs for my Regal, and they're just not on the car yet. They'll get on the car, and then I'm really crossing my fingers I don't ruin it by putting them on.
Sebastian, we have not had a Cruise one. I don't think we have one. By the way, guys, do not forget, we always will do if you send an email to marketing@ZZPerformance.com, very, very much so. Give us a number. Say, I want to rank 1, 2, or 3, and then put your car in there. We will take a look at it. We will bring we will bring that back. Because
Higgins said I can't find nice headlights. Give him some details on these nice ones that you guys are talking about.
There are nice ones. They are the most expensive ones. So I'm a very big headlight person that if you're going to have a headlight on the car, it needs to follow the body lines. Right now, there's a car here. I'm not going to say any names about it, but it has these headlights that do these double swoops. Yeah. I'm like, that doesn't go with any line whatsoever or the sleekness of the car, anything. There's one that has a line that flows all the way through. Bo's looking at them right now. That's one of them. And they're like the $300, $400 one. But then I see the one that's next to it that's more expensive. It's a single projector.
Spec D.
That's a Spec D one. They are one of the better ones. And it has a single swoop, and that's it.
These are the ones that I like.
Yeah, those are good. I wish you guys could see it, but they're from 1A Auto. They have a dual one. They have a little running light on them. Those are both good ones. If you make the other car with some nice quality wheels and lower the car on some ZZP coilovers, that is a good looking Cruise.
Honestly, you can't beat the black housing with the black corner.
Black housing with black corner is good, though I hate stock cruise headlights.
I was just gonna say, I think you just said what I was gonna say. Is a Gen 2 Cruise with good wheel fitment
Woo!
just
Woo!
looks good.
Yeah, that's
Just-
better.
Just looks.
You lowered on ZZP coilovers. You got our in production ZZP brake kit on a Gen 2 Cruise. That is a good looking hot hatch.
Yeah, Steve's Gen 2 Cruise hatchback is pretty good looking right
And
now.
it doesn't take much.
It doesn't. That car.
No, it doesn't.
Steve has never bought a set of aftermarket wheels in his life.
Nope.
Steve will put nice tires on stock wheels. That's just what he believes in. I think Steve is a freaking, what's it called? A heretic. He is crazy. He is a crazy person for that, but he likes stock wheels on his cars with good tires, and his car looks pretty dang good. Nate, we did your car, I think. We already did your car. It's like
I don't
a
know.
few episodes already.
I don't know.
No, we did that car. I think we did that car. Nate, look at me a few episodes. We did some rate my rides on that already.
Last 15 minutes of the podcast. We'll have to bring that back next week.
Hagen, if you want good looking stuff, you can either email me or Tim. Tim will give his opinion. Our opinion are usually kind of similar. I'm a little more aggressive than Tim, but we'll steer you right. I think Tim's headlight choice and ours mine will be pretty similar overall. So yeah, let's look at that. But so guys, that's the thing. Like I like the Gen 2 car. I think it's a great looking car. I think you can't get the manual in a premium. You can only get it in like the baser model, which really sucks.
Yeah,
Like,
the premiums are neat because you have a little more LCD in your gauge cluster. You get premium sound. It's
There's so
pretty
many
hard
more,
to beat the premium.
There's so many more creature comforts that like
Yep.
it the same year of Gen 2 Cruise in a premium versus my 2017 Subaru. It just feels nicer.
yeah.
Like
That's
I
funny,
hate how nice the car feels when I sit in it. Like it's just like
It
this
kills
is a
you.
nice
It
car.
kills you,
Like,
doesn't it?
The seating
But-
position is dialed, the wheel and everything. It's a comfortable car to be in.
It's like I know we all like our race cars and stuff, but there's something to say about like just
Yeah.
a car that's just
It's kind of
good.
like it's I guess I'll compare it to my Regal. It's a really nice car to have as a daily driver. I don't want to deal with quirks and bull crap. I just want this thing to get in and just drive nice.
Yep.
And then just throw all the basic bolt-ons on it. And the one problem with the car, which is not really a problem, it's the best part of the car, is that ours is really very highly modified and it still drives like stock.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the nicest driving cars in our friggin' parking lot, and it's making 100 over stock.
Yeah.
It's
You could give it-
platform has a lot of potential.
DI the world, I will say it forever. Forget push rods, forget all that old crap. DI the world, let's get it, boys. I'm talking about you, bro.
Nicholas, like we've already tried to get Mike. I think he's camera shy. He likes to be behind the camera.
I
not in
kind
front
of
of
like
it.
the idea that they don't even know what you look like, dude.
That's right.
Yep.
It's a mystery.
Guys, let me tell you about Mike.
Not Joe Rogan.
Pay no attention
Guys,
to the man behind the curtain.
Guys, for you guys out there that want to know what Mike looks like, I'm gonna tell you what Mike looks like. Mike is 6'7". Mike is a very Latino person.
It's actually
Mike
Mikel.
Mike has a real long hair, like down to his mid length.
450 pounds.
450 pounds. I'm lying about everything. Y'all gotta wait.
All
to see
right,
Mike.
all right. DC's TV. I don't even know how to say
What?
that properly.
What is it? Decent TV? Okay.
Yeah, that excites me. 2008. First off, thank you for buying a 2008. I had a 2007, and
Bad.
it was
Worst year.
bad. That ECM has some limitations in it that you can't get around, and it was terrible. It was so bad that I bought a 2008, and I had to transfer all my parts over to it.
Yep.
All right, number one is intercooler. If you're saving a mod at a time, I don't think it really matters what order. But like, I like to do intercooler like almost first because it's going to gain you power, make the car safer, and
Tim.
Really,
Tim,
it's a
hold on.
reliability.
Hold on.
You're going to get it out of the way. It's not going to be a limitation as soon as you do some
Yeah,
other
Correct.
stuff.
Now, Tim, the next thing you say, there's a very specific answer for it, and there's only one right answer.
There is.
Like
It's going to go over your head because
Like,
you're
it's
so
very
used
small.
to this. You're
Yeah.
ready to go to the next thing.
yeah, you're ready to go. You're ready to go too far. But then there are. I said in my LNF top 5 videos, I will fight you on LNF stuff.
tune.
Not quite.
Almost.
Almost. It's right along there. You get it with the tune. Come on, Tim.
Stage one, sir.
Yeah. There you go, baby.
He's like, big turbo.
No, actually, I don't say big turbo. Like, don't jump right to the big turbo. My 2008 Sky had, we developed our cold air intake on it. We developed our intercooler kit on it.
Exhaust package.
We already had a downpipe for it.
But the downpipe is different on the exhaust package.
But then, that is true. Yeah. And then they developed a full turbo back exhaust for it. So those 3 mods, great mods. And then obviously you need the stage 1 sensors, because as soon as you bump the boost, you pop the stock ones, and nobody wants to deal with that. So just get stage 1 sensors in a tune.
That's first mods. Those are the first. I'd even say those are the first mods. Even over the intercooler, but the intercooler should be right behind it, because the stock intercoolers on all LNS, no matter the platform, plastic intakes, they break, they suck. Yep. Get an intercooler package,
and then next, like E85, if you have it. If you don't, no big deal. You just won't make quite as much power, but you won't run out of fuel system as quick.
Yep.
And then spark plugs. That's like a number one
GM
thing too.
41-108s.
Don't be surprised if you have to put valve springs in it. We're finding out all these stock turbo cars have ridiculously high exhaust pressures pre-turbine wheel, and that, if you've got a 2 times back pressure ratio, so let's say you're making 20 pounds of boost, that means you have 40 psi of exhaust pressure in your turbine manifold, and your valve springs are what?
Stocks are
40 something pounds,
39 to 42.
Yeah. So think about that. You're trying to open your exhaust valve into, let's say, 40 psi of pressure when your valve spring is only 40 psi pressure.
Guys, so Tim, I'm going to segue that. I think all of us here at this table can. What is people think about consumables or maintenance mods or wear and tear items? People do. There are 2
I like
parts,
where you're going with this.
There are 2 parts that people do not think are wear and tear items.
Your freaking valve springs.
Your valve springs and your turbo.
Yeah.
Your valve springs and your turbo are both wear and tear items.
Yep.
Valve springs lose seat pressure over the years. We have a local guy that has a Z06.
Especially at the RPMs y'all are
Especially at 4-cylinder RPM stuff. We have a local guy with a Z06 that replaces them every year.
That is actually recommended by pretty much every old school V8 company out there.
Bare minimum, check them. But if you probably don't have the means to check them, so
guys.
My 2008 Sky full bolt-on plus cams and valve springs on the stock turbo made 360 wheel on E85. Mm-hmm. So the stock turbo, it did some stuck a grinder wheel in there and kind of opened up the exhaust housing a little bit, but it was the stock turbo. And I literally spent 5 minutes on it, so it's not like it was something crazy.
And at that point, you need seat time to be used to driving your car at that level.
That too. Yep. That's also very much true as well.
Hagen, while you mention this, and we're already on this tangent, the valves are kind of fine.
Yeah, valves fine.
Let's say you bought your car from some kid that did top speed runs every day on his way to school or college or something like that. You might want to replace the exhaust valves at least, because there's a lot of heat there. Heat and metal obviously, messes with the metal compounds and whatnot.
You can just have them lapped in.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd do that. If you buy it from somebody that has beat the living heck out of it its entire life, I would just replace the exhaust valves.
On LNF, we sell new heads for $200 to $250. Just get a new head on the car. Get a new head. Get new head studs on the car. And also that cleans up valve coking and stuff like that, which does happen. Get a 5th injector, FYI, guys. But overall though, people think they put valves in the car once. Oh, I never have to replace them again. Over time, they will lose seat pressure. So you're losing keeping power on the table. Same with your turbo. Guys, a turbo, once you buy one, you should expect to replace it 3-4 years. Every 3 to 4 years.
All right, what do you think is the average lifespan of a stock turbo?
Oh, depending on the Sonic day.
Let's say a stock turbo can last 150,000 miles.
Yeah.
That is, I don't know the RPMs, but that car makes 10 PSI stock.
This is on a very conservative factory
14.
tune.
Yeah.
Peaks at 14.
You're not turning it up. You're not adding more boost.
Yeah.
You're talking about a part that is supposed to last the lifetime of a car, which manufacturers really only design a car to last 120,000 miles.
Yeah.
As soon as you start turning that boost pressure up, you're literally reducing the lifespan of that turbo.
Yeah.
So it's making, it's a torque-based DCM. So obviously your weather has a huge effect on the boost number that your individual car makes. So let's say you have a 1.4 and it makes between 10 and 14 PSI a boost. When you turn that up to 17, 18 pounds and dummies like B&R turn them to like 25 pounds, because they're freaking stupid. That
I love it.
exponentially wears the turbo out. You're taking
Huge.
a turbo that's spinning to maybe 100,000 RPM, and you're spinning that thing to
150.
150, 160, 180,000 RPM.
Yeah.
That exponentially wears the turbo.
Oh, guys. Oh,
man.
snap.
Dad's here.
Boys and girls.
I'll tap out, mister.
We got a special guest for the last 5
Special
minutes.
guest, owner of ZZP.
Big Daddy Zoom in the house, boys and girls. Dad, what did you come up here to yell at us about?
Oh, did you guys cover the whole how much horsepower do heads make?
No. So we have been waiting for someone to mention these aluminum 3800 heads right here. So you. All right. Yeah. Go ahead, Zoom.
So we only got a couple minutes, but I want to let people know something. You know how all the K&N airboxes have horsepower dyno charts on them? Because, of course, they dyno all their stuff. That's literally Photoshop, guys. I'm not even talking shit. That's literally a Photoshop on every airbox they do. They got a guy who Photoshops the horsepower numbers on all their airboxes. But there are mods where you can discuss horsepower because there's a lot of assumed things. If you're talking about an airbox, it's assumed that the vehicle is probably stock. And so you can give a horsepower number on what an airbox might do. If you're talking about a tune, you can give a horsepower number because it's presumed that the car is going to run probably premium fuel and that the vehicle is probably stock. When you're talking about more advanced mods like a head and someone's like, hey, how much horsepower is this head going to give me? That's a more nuanced answer. It depends, because nobody bolts a pair of $3,000 aluminum heads onto a stock vehicle. And if you did, the horsepower gains would be minimal. Just like if you ported the heads on a stock vehicle, the gains are minimal. It's one of those things where you're removing a restriction, allowing more horsepower to be made in the higher RPMs. If you don't have a cam that's lifting the valve open to the height where the head is actually flowing, how is the higher flow going to help you? If your stock cam is lifting your valve 400 thou, and the heads are made to produce more flow at 500 thou, the heads they're not going to work well. You got to match all of your parts. But most people buying heads, they have cam, they have tune, they have turbo, they have all these other things. So you're going to see the numbers there. Also, you're buying heads to shed an enormous amount of weight off your car. In this case, what was it, 30 pounds for a set head.
31.
Yeah, 31 pounds. And your engine's going to run cooler.
Tell them what that is. Exactly.
What this part is?
Yeah.
This is ZZPerformance designed aluminum head from scratch. So we don't have. I thought we had an iron one up here. We don't. But the head is completely different. Like every aspect of the head is different. The deck surface is different. The deck thickness is different. The combustion chambers are different. So this raises your compression.
Notice he picked that up with one hand.
Yeah. You can't do that on gas heads, guys.
You're
You
much
can't do
thicker
that.
through this, so the head doesn't lift, and you don't blow out the gaskets when you're running high boost. But unfortunately, we don't and probably won't make this part anymore. But I did want to address that horsepower thing because people get their panties in a bunch. Talking, well, how much this and how much that, and we got to be really careful because so many things in our market depend on nuanced answers. Like if your car doesn't have the room to increase timing or boost because you live in a state that's selling crappy 91, there isn't a lot of gains that you're going to get, say from a tune, right? Mm-hmm. But if you've got a flex fuel car and you're running around all stock parameters and you throw E85 and a tune on there, you might gain 60 horsepower just from the tune because you can turn it up. The car has room for it. But it's very difficult to give simple answers to people who want a simple answer on a very sometimes complicated question. But we do our best. We do our best. And work with the tuner. Ask questions. Submit your mods. Answer all of the questions that the tuner is asking.
Too.
Yeah, be honest. And then, we are pretty good at knowing. I mean, we do like hundreds and hundreds of tunes. So we do know what states are better and what states are worse. For the good or for the bad, we live in a state that has pretty good gas. Mm. So when we're tuning our vehicles and you're coming in, a lot of times everything is fantastic. You leave the state.
Yeah.
And
we've had this haunt us a few times.
Yeah.
A few times.
Most of our guys, I ask them to drop it off the full tank.
Yeah, and just in case somebody's listening that this might apply to, what I generally do and what Bo obviously does with him being install bay manager is if a customer's bringing their car here, we're like, hey, fill it with fuel and then send it to us if it's being shipped, let's say. If it's not being shipped, you're driving it here, then what we do is we generally ask you to bring like 5 gallons of your local fuel and then show up on fumes.
Yeah.
Do the math. Show up on fumes, we'll dump that 5-10 gallons of your fuel in the tank, and then we'll tune it on your fuel.
Yeah.
ATSV guys are really good about that.
Yeah.
So,
and then, and along with what Zoom was saying there, like making more horsepower is all about finding the next bottleneck. If the heads are not the bottleneck, then don't expect to see gains from them. Like, and that's, basically adding on to him saying, how much are these aluminum heads going to give me on my stock Grand Prix GTP? Nothing. Because there's quite a few bottlenecks in front of the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, but minimal.
On a fully modded M90 car, I would dare to say 75 horsepower.
That's
yeah.
a lot. So
you're talking about a fully modified vehicle. On a stock vehicle, it is a little bit minimal. I mean, maybe if it was Bowen stock GTP, because you still have a 3/8 pulley, so you could go with the increased compression to do a little bit.
Yeah. That's true. I forgot about that part.
So interesting to see.
Yeah, our aluminum heads bump the compression, so that's significant.
I want Zoom to answer a quick question from a customer. So Gordon Barker said thinner head gaskets to generate thinner or thicker head gaskets to generate more compression. Is that still a thing? It used to be an old school power mod. Now you tested this a lot in the 3800 days. Why don't you talk about that for a second?
It depends on the platform, but in a 3800, you are generally on every build better off with the thinner gasket. That's just what I found. But obviously there's a limit because you've got to have about 30 thou from the piston to the head. Otherwise you're going to start smacking the head. But when I did it, I gained power. So it's 62 thou is a stock 3800. And when I went to 52, I gained power. When I went to 45, I started smacking the head. So that's 45 thou thick on the head gasket. That's a problem. So then we went to 51. But I think the 51 was a 3-layer and the 52 was a 4-layer, maybe. And, and 1 thou isn't enough of a difference. I'd rather have the extra layer to prevent blowout. So, thin gaskets are good. And the car's lighter because the gasket weighs like a few grams less.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we have a saying around here, boys, guys. Ounces make pounds. However many ounces and grams you take off, that's just that my life.
That's old school ZZP website stuff. Like every product we sold, it had like a rule that it had to be lighter than the OEM part.
Yeah.
So every product back in the day that we sold had like a weight on the the last.
I mean, you're talking
the
about
last bottom part of the page.
I love that.
I would weigh different brands of hoses to find the lighter hose to run on my car.
Really?
Yeah. So when you looked at my car, you didn't see the weight savings because if you do this through, can I run a shorter bolt? Can I run 2 instead of 3? Can I run a thinner head gasket? Because yes, it does weigh an ounce less, right?
Wow.
And you do this and it just adds up and people are like, oh, he did this, he did that. And I'm like, take a look, tell me where it is. You don't see a thing.
What about the aluminum pipe instead of hose?
Yeah, that's me too.
Yeah. Well, guys,
and it radiates off heat, so that's a really good mod. It just doesn't look as good as a silicone. But I did that.
Yeah.
Until you guys took it off. You guys demodded my car.
You get yelled at. You get yelled at.
So we getting the car back together?
It's like a car. It's like you send your kid away to camp. And they feed your kid a bunch of fucking snacks. And it comes back like 20 pounds heavier. And you're like, what did you do to my child? That's what I did to my Grand Prix. No, Zoom, it's so much nicer now. Yeah, because you've been eating Oreos for 2 weeks.
Hey,
We're healthy.
hey, double stuff to mega stuff. Don't come at me. Oreos for the days, boys. But guys, that is what sets a lot of stuff apart. People don't think about that. If you lighten something up 50 times by 2 or 3 ounces here and there, that's pounds.
Yeah.
At that point.
And when you're in a platform like the Grand Prix, which is it's horsepower limited because you will break things. The transmission will break in that car when you get to a certain point.
Yep.
You can go further horsepower. Like if a car is going to brake at 398 horsepower and you lighten that car, you can go to 402 horsepower with a lighter car. That's the way it goes. So it all compounds, and then you just end up with a better performance. You're going to 60 better because you've got less inertia holding the mass there as you're going to take off. People don't like chasing ounces, but I mean, honestly, that was a huge part of the build until we did that. We did a custom set of these heads with all titanium stuff, valves, and we didn't really know what we were doing in terms of putting together the head. We only did it once. The the heads lasted 100 miles. We took it apart before it disintegrated, but it only made 100 miles. And that motor made, I think, 472 to the tires on the M90. Nothing has ever come close to that. But it was, it was a 100-mile motor. I mean, if you were just trailering it and drag racing it,
Be fine.
Sure.
Yeah, 3800s are always battling not having enough valve spring. There's just not room. There's not room for the adequate amount of valve spring. So lightening the valves is, another way to be able to run less valve spring.
Horsepower or weight equals horsepower?
My Grand Prix, I got so wild with the rear of the car. Like I basically tried to keep this ratio. So when I lightened my Grand Prix back in the day, I started in the very back of the car. And I'm like, I need to remove every single ounce I can out of the back of this car. And I worked my way forward. It was so bad that I brought my car to a shop. And this shop racks cars every day. They racked the car, lifted the car up, and when they let off on the button of the lift, it started teetering on the back. And they were actually mad at me because I lightened the back of the car so much that they had to re-rack the car for safety. But if you're a front-wheel drive car, man, it's all about where is your weight?
Yeah.
If you're front-wheel drive,
it depends if you're drag racing or if you want handling.
Yeah.
That's one of the nice things about the heads is the weight's up high. It's a lot of weight, and your car handles better when you pull 30 pounds out of that section of the engine.
For sure.
For sure. Slinky Pillow, what's most horsepower made out of a Sonic? We made 600 wheel out of our drag Sonic.
Yeah.
Check out the video on it. There's numerous videos of us talking about that. You can see the build too.
I think the highest horsepower daily Sonic is mine at 331. That's street pump fuel.
All
I drive
ZZP
the car
parts.
every day.
All off the show parts.
We have a video about that as well.
Yeah.
Tim's Mean Green Machine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And at this point, that's about as far as you want to go if you want a daily driving car.
Yeah.
The
not
Drag
drag.
Sonic is a monster.
Yeah, Sonic is absolutely a monster.
And then Randy's car, when his goes back together, should make more power than mine.
Yeah.
It's basically we took all the lessons from my build and we're immediately doing them to his car, and then we're putting a bigger turbo on it. So we'll see how that bigger turbo works out and see if it maybe becomes a production unit. But
who's going to test that rocker guard on the Sonics?
I mean, my car kicks rockers every time I rev it past 7,500. So,
so guys, it's about time for us to kind of wrap it up.
Yep,
Zoom,
wrap it up.
Is there anything you want to kind of lead us on with, some good knowledge? Anything else you want to kind of say?
That was it. I just want to jump in and tell people about that horsepower thing.
Slinky, yes.
All right. Well, so we usually end off by talking about our weekends. Dad, what are you going to be doing this weekend?
I have no plans this weekend.
Oh my goodness.
Relaxing
is good.
It means I'll be working.
Yeah, that's it. Dad's Zoom's no plans, boys, is working to make ZZP and everything better.
Yesterday morning before work, I was working on the solar business, and I tried a new wiring battery setup, and today the battery blew up. So luckily it didn't burn the house down.
Guys,
catastrophic failure there.
We're getting spicy.
Yeah, but that's a different business than ZZP.
Guys, you don't understand. This is kind of stuff we hear every day. This is great. We're trying this. Blew the engine out of the car, but guess what? We're still going forward. We're making better parts. That's it. Yep. That's just what we do.
Try the next one.
Try the next one.
If you don't fail, you didn't try hard enough.
Yeah.
Guys,
Right.
words
That's
of wisdom
right.
from Zoom himself. Y'all hear that? You don't fail. You didn't try hard enough. P-Span, what you got going on this weekend?
Man, we got some nice warm weather. I'm going to be out in the garage trying to get my car back together.
Okay.
It's
Nice.
been torn apart for about a month now.
Okay.
So that's my plans for
Okay.
the weekend.
Before I want to one quick question for Zoom, because I know I saw someone in the chat ask about it earlier. New platforms for ZZPerformance. We've heard we've had customers ask about CT4, CT5, and what is next?
Well, we have not decided anything moving forward. We're a wait and see company. It doesn't work well to try and blaze the path.
This is true.
People
Agreed.
don't mod until the car's out of warranty. So we will not look at a platform most likely until it has been out for at least 3 years. So people can just know that. But we are working backwards. We've developed a new strategy. Sorry for the Biden there. Developed a new strategy for the slingshot, and so we're gonna work on that. I think Matt is just about done wrapping up another prototype turbo for that.
Mhm.
We're working on the Vogt ELR, and I think we're about to or did purchase another Vogt maybe that we're going to be messing with. That's an old, backwards, but something
Brakes
of
and
interest.
suspension primarily.
Yeah, and then we're waiting on the all-wheel drive dyno to get back together to test the LTG fix. So the LTG should be a $4 to $5 million market by my calculations, and it's like one,
Yeah.
one and a quarter, something like that. I mean, just terrible, right? And that's our fault. We haven't fixed the motor. It's been 10 years. I assumed we were going to do it a long time ago, but I've jumped in it now. I got my own hands on it. We will get it fixed. My apologies to the audience. We shit the bed on that. But we'll get it fixed. We'll come out, and we're going to have some really special things for the people that have been patient and waited, as well as the people that have already invested in that platform. We'll get that right, and we'll turn that market into a beast. It'll be good. So those are the three, really, that we're sort of backwards working on. And it'll be another year probably before we pick a forward
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
platform.
We still try to refine all the old ones,
I was gonna say.
and we don't like to forget about the old mod markets.
So
and
800
platforms.
guys, one of our
Like,
largest markets.
We're still engineering new parts for old cars.
Yep. I just patented. I just signed with a patent today on a 3800 part. So, which the audience doesn't know about yet, but we're
I will learn.
yeah, we're still developing for our very first market. We love supporting the old markets because we don't like the idea of just chasing the latest greatest. Like we love people that love the platform that they are invested in. And we want to keep those platforms alive. That's why this aluminum head is on the table. That's why I signed that patent on another product. That's why we have other 3800 products in development, Ecotech products in development. Just getting started on 1.4 and LTG. Like we're going to be here for a long, long, long time, and you'll have thousands of parts for your platforms.
It's going to be great. Mr. Beek, what are you doing this weekend, sir?
This weekend is like recouping from our
Last
big
weekend.
ZZP vacation that we
Yep.
didn't talk about at all.
Yeah.
Hey, you talking about our trip
we,
to Dominican?
No, we didn't get to it.
We
We
didn't,
did the thumbnail and everything.
we
Yeah.
didn't want to brag to these guys. We had a good time. Bo
there's-
Cobb, what are you doing this weekend?
Speak up.
Putting in a new washer and dryer for the girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Did you
Also
see
for
the
yourself. Also for yourself.
Huge saves?
Yeah. Good job.
Guys, this weekend, back to playing D&D. It's going to be great, but we're doing stuff for Valentine's with my girlfriend tonight, and got to clean the house up a little bit. Just get ready for the next week because we're still recouping, and we're always trying to work and make things better and more efficient. So, guys, thank you so much.
Hybrid YD, people that love cars.
Yes. There he is, boys. Guys, thank you for joining us. I'm so happy that you're here. We appreciate your support. Without you, we can't do this. Thank you once again, and guys, we'll see you next week. Beautiful. It's coming in there. Yeah.
Thanks for joining.